Hey guys, Coach Keith Kepner here. Let's talk about this thing. Ooh, the helmet. All right, a lot of people, obviously, you box, you know about a helmet. All right, but let's talk about it. Let's talk about some things you might not know about this thing. All right, let's talk about the history about it. So my father, who was my mentor as a boxing coach, he started boxing in the 60s. He has a lot of background, a lot of experience. He's no longer with us, but he was able to educate me a little bit about the history of the helmet, and so was his coach, Chuck Bodak, who started boxing in, I believe, the 20s as an amateur. All right. So the helmet first came about. Why? Why did the sucker come about? Was it to stop concussions? Was it to stop people from getting knocked down in sparring? No. All right. What it came about for initially was to prevent cuts, especially around this area. That's why it has the padding up there and then around the side of the eye, because those are the places that if you get cut and you go into a fight, so let's say you're sparring, you get cut there, you go into your fight, and then there's a cut there, it's already slightly opened, all right, or it's going to open up in your fight, and then that's going to lead you to what? Losing the fight, all right? So you don't want that. And then the second thing is that they have the big padding up there on the helmet part to prevent what? To prevent head clashes, all right? Because that's something that happens in boxing. No matter what level you are, it can happen, and this is a way to at least counteract some of that activity or some of that that you don't want to have happen while you're training going into a fight. All right, because again, back in the day, you didn't have helmets in the amateurs, you didn't have helmets in the pros. All right. Now, it started being implemented in the amateurs. Why? Because it does stop cuts and it does stop headbutts. Because think about it, you got two wild and crazy guys going in there to box each other. Think about your first couple novice fights, and like these guys might just ram their heads into each other, and that's not going to be good, all right, for anyone. And then also as well, think about this as well. You don't want to be going into your pro career having fought 30, 40, 50, 100 amateur fights and maybe haven't gotten a lot of cuts, a lot of scar tissue built up that therefore it's going to hurt you when you go pro. Because if you have that scar tissue and everything else, it's going to open up again and you're already going to have all this kind of damage to that skin and it can really dampen your career. I've known personally some pro fighters that had their careers really messed up by getting cut easily, all right? So imagine them getting cut easily as an amateur and then going pro or any type of level of that, all right? So those are the things that are very good things about helmets, all right? Now, people have this misnomer that they think helmet's going to protect you from getting hurt. That's not the case. I mean, at least in my experience, I've only gotten hurt wearing a helmet. Back in 2010, when I had a neck injury, I got dropped wearing a helmet on because it interfered. I got my neck whipped with a punch and it interfered with my spinal cord. And think about it. If you have a helmet weighs about 10 ounces, all right? And if you have some sweat on this sucker and everything else, it's going to be all this weight, and it's not weight like down here. It's up here where you have the worst leverage point to whip your head around and to cause more of a whiplash effect, which can rattle your brain more because a knockout, a concussion, is the whipping of the brain or the bouncing of the brain inside the skull. And in my opinion, this can exacerbate that. And then also, of course, any type of damage you might have to your neck, it increases that as well. And I know many people who have neck injuries of any type, they spar with a helmet, it bothers them. They spar without a helmet, they're not bothered at all, all right? And I have sparred without a helmet before, never got bothered when my neck was kind of being funky, and then my neck just got so bad to the point where I just wasn't able to get hit anymore. Now, it won't stop the knockout, it won't do any of that. But remember, like, visually, it looks good, right? In the sense that, oh, you're wearing a helmet, you're safe, it's cool, you're good. But think about it. The damage you're receiving is not like to the outer part of your skin, right? You can damage the hell out of the skin on my head. It's not necessarily, or definitely not going to cause me any type of mental issues or any type of CTE or anything like that. But just merely think about this. If you get a concussion, what does a good doctor recommend you to watch out for? Don't do jarring activities, which doesn't mean just getting something hit on your skull. It means jumping up and down, jumping jacks even, or like riding, riding like a bicycle on like a bouncy train or anything like that. One, because obviously you could fall off and things like that could happen, but also just the rattling. The rattling is not good for the brain, all right? And that is what all the damage is with boxing. Any type of boxing that you know that is punchy or anything else like that is because of their brain rattling in their skull. And trust me, they wore helmets. It's something that I was just talking to somebody with a lot of experience throughout the years of boxing that trained around a lot of world champions that you would know the name of. And they were telling me how they would just have wars sparring. And I know too, because that's how I was trained as a boxer as well. It's not how we train, but it's how so many boxers train. They have wars in the gym, and honestly, the damage doesn't come in the fights. The damage comes in the gym, and in the gym, whether they're pro or not, they're wearing these helmets, all right? And the last thing I want to say about the helmet is that, okay, so it just sounded like I kind of just like crapped all over the helmet. Okay, whenever we spar in a Kepner boxing facility at one of our many franchise locations, we require wearing a helmet. What are the reasons why? all right? The reasons why, the cuts, like I mentioned, the headbutts, all right? Then also, too, if you ever do want to fight amateur, you're going to have to wear a helmet. So if you ever want to fight amateur, or if you do fight amateur, I highly recommend, challenge you to train with one of these suckers on. Yes, I know it sucks. I know it's warm. It's hot under this helmet. It's this extra weight on your head, and you feel like you look like a moron wearing a helmet, all right? Because it doesn't look cool, at least in my opinion. But getting used to that thing, because when you fight, all right, especially your first few fights where you're working at, the whole thing is whoever's more comfortable and obviously more prepared is going to do better in their first few amateur fights. And if you're not used to this thing on you, if this isn't like just wearing a hat to you or wearing your regular clothes, it's going to throw you off. If like wearing your cup, if you're not used to your cup, wear your cup in training, because it's going to throw you off in your fight if you're not used to it, or it might. Get used to it, all right? Because the last thing you want, I've seen it happen so many times with people, is they don't wear a helmet only when they spar, and then they complain about it when they spar, all right? And then they don't wear the cup when they're training, and then they complain about it in their fight, all right? Because that's the one time they use it or whatever. So you have to use all of this stuff and get used to it, because, again, you're going to use it as an amateur to compete. So make it so it's like nothing. And also, too, there's this little, harping on why I don't like helmets, right? But don't get me wrong, there's good things to them, all right? But there's this little extra area on the side, all right? If you look at like my head right now, I'm shaved, right? But a lot of boxers have short haircuts. And so if I'm sweaty, right? I'm boxing, and I get hit kind of with a shot like this, it's like that. Imagine my fist is here and hits me like that. It will slide off my freaking head, dude. With this helmet, with this extra distance on it, my gosh, that thing is gonna get caught, and it's gonna give me that little whip. Just like that, all right? So those are some things to consider with helmets. Maybe you learned something new about helmets, or maybe something that you heard before that you just reminded of about different aspects of this thing, why it's around, what are good purposes of it. And also remember, it's not going to stop from getting knocked the hell out. I've seen many people get knocked out with a helmet on, and I've personally knocked out people with a helmet on. So don't think it's going to be your savior like that, but it will be your savior from cuts and headbutts. And if you're going to fight amateur, you're going to need to wear it anyway. So go ahead and get used to it. Don't complain about it. All right? Watch out for the next video, guys. It's Coach Keith Kepner.